Hello, my name is Maya, and welcome to the LFR Live for Your Recovery podcast. We hope that we found you on a good day and we can have a positive impact on your day. Like I said, I'm Maya,
I'm Jacob.
and Haley is not here today, but she is another member of our team. Today, we're going to be doing a back to school type podcast. So, we're not talking about school supplies or teachers or whatever. I mean, maybe, but we're talking about substance abuse issues, and we're gonna do our quote of the day. We're gonna go over our personal stories and just overall how you can survive in a very tempting environment.
We got a question from a viewer on our last clip. It was for Maya. It was we talked about a group. What group is that?
So our group started out as a little small group that would get together once a week during school for 30 minutes, and we would just answer questions about how our week was, do a little quote of the day, do a little riddle, or just talk about whatever we're feeling like. Sometimes we're very structured, sometimes we're not. It really depends on what is most productive for the group. We really want to strive on, we don't want to do all that foo foo stuff necessarily. More as we want to actually like help people and actually like do things that get your mind thinking and make you think a different type of way. Um, don't get me wrong, yoga, meditation, writing down your feelings is all great stuff. But I think when it comes to actually talking about it and actually getting with a group of people who can be there to support you and give you real life coping skills in real time, I think it's one of the most amazing things that can help someone struggling with addiction.
That was a great explanation. Thank you. Speaking of quote of the day, would you like to now explain what we do with the quote of the day?
I thought you were supposed to
Oh,
explain. Okay, so the quote of the day, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. We will put up a quote or write up a quote. Sometimes we'll bring quotes, but today Bob picked it out for us. Our quote was "Just keep swimming." It's from Finding Nemo. I think almost everybody's heard this quote before, but when we look at quotes, we really want to talk about what it means to us.
would you like to go first, Maya?
Yes, I can go first. So to me, just keep swimming. It's a very, simple quote or whatever, but it does kind of mean a lot. Because in the end, there's you just always got to keep going. It never feels like things are going to get better, but they always do. They always do. And you just got to keep going. And, it's just that it's simple, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just a way to live life.
Yeah. The way that I take this quote is no matter how hard you think stuff is, you just have to keep doing it and show that you are there and that you believe in yourself for however long you have to do it. Because half of the challenge is showing up.
I mean, yeah, just keep showing up. Maybe it's not your best swim stroke. Maybe it's not the strongest, but you're there and you're doing it. And that's half the battle. It's just being there. One of the first things that I really want to do for this podcast is give a little bit about ourselves because I have a really hard time almost having I don't want to say respect, but respect for people when I don't always know what they've gone through. Like you don't want to hear just a random B. Nope, can't say it. You don't want to just hear some random person just telling their sob story about you don't even know what, and it's because of some first world problems. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know who we are yet. We could just be some privileged children just yapping on the internet. You don't know. But no, that's not the case. How did we know that we were struggling? What was our start to our mental health journeys? And I would say that I've been struggling about as long as I can remember. I always thought that I kind of thought differently than other people around me. Like I kind of thought deeper about things than other people, um, like in elementary school and stuff. And I don't think it really took off until I hit around like 10 years old or like 11 years old. And that could be due to hormones or whatever, but it stayed. The first time I really remember needing some sort of help was this really nice day outside, and my parents wanted me to help them out with some stuff, just yard work and all this stuff, and I just started getting really anxious and overstimulated, and I had so much stuff going on in my own brain outside of what was going on in the moment that I just started to full on break down. And my parents, seeing me as a 10-year-old kid, thought that I was throwing a tantrum because I didn't want to do yard work and help them out and stuff like that. But really, I was a 10-year-old with suicidal thoughts who wanted to cut myself and didn't want to be there, you know? It was I didn't understand what I was feeling, so I didn't know how to explain to them how I was feeling. Neither did they think that I was even at that mentally conscious level that I was thinking things like that. They still thought of me as this very innocent child who just liked to play with her friends and whatever, but there was a lot going on under the surface. Um, it was it was a very big wake up call for them when I was able to actually express how I actually felt to them about suicidal thoughts, because that's a very scary thing for a parent to hear. It's very sad. It makes them feel bad about themselves, makes them feel like they did something wrong. Um, but that just gave them the motivation to get me the help that I needed. And like I said, at that point in time, the mental health movement wasn't really there yet. So it was actually really difficult to find a therapist for someone my age that actually knew what they were doing. Um, it took a while before I could actually get into a stable spot where I had a really good support system around me and I could, manage everything that I was going through. Um, it's it Mental health is a journey. I struggled with mental health before I struggled with addiction, and I think that addiction a lot of the time can just be a result of unsolved mental health issues. So addiction is a whole nother story of how I got into that. um, I don't know. Jake, do you want to take over a little
Yeah,
bit and
I
then I
got
can go
you.
back?
Um, I also started. Uh, I started very young with mental health issues. Uh, in like kindergarten, I got like really mad at just anything, and I started expressing myself by crying. And they thought, "Oh, this kid doesn't want to do work. He doesn't know what he's doing." And a few people thought, oh, maybe this kid does know what he's doing. He just doesn't know how to express himself. Um, but in that moment, the only way I could express myself was through anger, crying, having meltdowns. Um, so I started going into, I think it was like second grade, and then I got like, was it? I think it was third grade when I started getting a therapist, and they didn't, nobody knew what to do because I didn't know how to explain it to myself before I could explain it to other people. So we we did nothing the whole therapy session, and I just kept lying to myself, saying it's okay. They know what they're doing. So I just kept going on until I was like, this isn't working. I need some way to express myself. So I started um in fourth grade. I started getting into the like special education system, and my parents started fighting very hard to get me what I needed and how I needed it. Because I, I could give them a very basic understanding of what I needed and not like why I needed it, but I knew I had to do it. And then middle school happened, and it felt like I started from square one again because nobody was listening to me. I tried to explain them, oh, this isn't working, blah, blah, blah. And they couldn't understand it. And then COVID happened about seventh grade, halfway through, I think, right? Yeah. So then we just did online, and I went, and that just wrecked my whole mental health because I just stayed inside. I had no one else to talk to. I had no way to express myself. And I started um, just not being the greatest person I could be. I started being rude to people. I didn't I didn't like who I was back then. So I started thinking of myself as less than people. Started getting very self-conscious about everything. I thought that I could never do anything. I thought I couldn't be anyone. And then I went back to in person last the last year of middle school, which was like ninth grade. No, eighth grade. Um, I'm not very good with numbers. Um, so then I felt like eighth grade. I actually started coming out of like a cocoon, almost like into a beautiful butterfly. Um, you know, started being social again. I actually had people to talk to. I actually started expressing myself and being who I wanted. Started finding a great friend group, you know. Uh, and then high school, I was like, okay, it's high school, a new beginning. So I wanted to be, whoever I wanted. And I started almost, you know, I don't know. I don't know where it's going with that point, but you just have to grow into yourself. Like if you feel self-conscious, that's all right. You can be self-conscious, but don't let that weigh yourself down from doing whatever you want because you can do stuff at your own pace. And I thought I had to keep up with everyone. It's almost like a horse race where I was the last guy in last place and I thought I had to be the first. You don't always have to be the first. You just have to finish. And no matter how you finish.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, this is kind of a bad example, but you don't have to be the best person on the football team. You made it, and
Yeah.
that's better than what most people did. And I'm talking about like NFL.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be the best, but you made it there,
Mm.
and that's something. I mean, just and also just one thing I noticed about like a similarity between our stories and maybe just everyone in general is when we were kids, we were very underestimated for the thoughts and the capability of thoughts that we had in our brain. And I feel like even we, like most people now, we treat kids as if they don't have as many thoughts through their brain as they do, when really they have way more thoughts than any of us.
Yeah.
You know, neural connections are being made at seconds. Their brain is a sponge. Like even nowadays kids are way smarter at an earlier age, and you can see it if you
Yeah.
really talk to them and you really get down to them. You can see it. And what I've noticed is the kids that have the most mental health struggles or um, even learning delays, they're actually more emotionally intelligent than the other kids,
Yeah.
if in my opinion. Even the kids that have delays, I actually think that their emotional intelligence is a lot more escalated than the kids who are just living a normal life. As it's weird to say, but
Yeah.
sometimes negative things can impact kids in a negative way, and sometimes it can also make them really emotionally intelligent.
Mm.
Yeah.